Alright, testing. Testing 1 2 1 2. It's been a while. Gonna have to get the show on the road. Been a while. Get the updates. We do. Testing 1 2 1 2. We have some technical difficulties. We got a lot of things to talk about. Lots of updates. Who even knows what's going on? Some people don't even care anymore. What's going on? Let's see what's up with the technical difficulties. We got a lot of things going on here. I've been really busy, like most people, I assume. So there's going to be a lot of problems here today. I don't know. But we're going to have to get the show. Let's make it work. Special VIP coming up. Let's see. Can I get this on the road here? Let's do it. Welcome everybody to Geezy Truth News. It is August 20th, 2020. Unbelievable. I can't do like what? We got 4 months left of this. 2020 has been very amazing for a lot of people, very bad for a lot of people. We need people talking on the show. We need people calling, whatever. How's everybody doing? Oh, let's see. We got some extra updates on here. Some serious stuff happening. Seriously, bro. Ella Eddie. We got a quote before we get to the news. Labor is prior to and independent of capital. Capital is only the fruit of labor and could never have existed if labor had not first existed. Labor is the superior of capital and deserves much the higher consideration. End quote. That was Abraham Lincoln, December 3rd, 1861, of the State of the Union Address. So there you go. Your random DHS monitored phrase of the day is Central Intelligence Agency. That reminds me, we talked a little bit the other time on the other show. We had a video banned, I think. Something's going on here. We're going to have to do some more investigation. We're going to have to look through all this. We got banned. Hopefully we could talk with Jim Fetzer about that, see maybe potentially what we know about all that. Anyway, we're trying to make this a quick show. As we don't got time for this. We're all busy. So let's see what's going on. Got all kinds of things going on. Idlib is burning. New proxy war in Deir ez-Zor. Law and Order Administration. Steve Bannon arrested for online border wall scheme. Idlib is burning. Walsh. Leaked audio suggests Goodyear's discriminatory policies. Blah, blah, blah. Kamala Harris was picked by Biden. We got that. Joe Biden will end this pandemic, says Harris. Look, there's so much stuff going on here that it's like, does anybody really know what's going on? It's crazy. The stock market is going up. Last I checked, it's almost close in 28,000. Things are like, wow. Billionaires, wow. People going up. Things are going up. The wealth disparity, you already know. Yeah, most people already know what's going on here. 27,736. Last was the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Last I checked, T-minus 5 minutes. T-minus 6 to be exact. Crypto, 11,884. It was at 12. It hit 12, like maybe a few days ago or something like that. Let's get some of the real stuff going on. All right. Thank you. Yeah, and one of the biggest things, of course, I got to talk about, pedogate and the Fed. So with the whole QAnon thing, what's the updates? There seems to be, they're really suppressing the QAnon thing. They're trying to, I don't know what's going on. Go to QAnon.pub. Let's see if we can set that up. It's very interesting. 6 indictments are coming up here. One of them, Fauci. This is some of the news that I've been hearing. Please share what you guys think. Let's see. Lots of stuff, you know. We had this. There's been some interesting developments coming up here. Oh, of course, Biden related to Epstein. This is one of the new ones. Scott Green, a lobbyist with close ties to Joe Biden, purchased Virgin Islands property from James Biden and then extended to him a private mortgage. And somehow, you know, of course, Epstein's involved in all those guys, all this shady stuff. So let's see. We got this done. I'm just trying to do a short cue before we get, you know, the T-minus 4 minutes here. We're going to get situated here. Justice.gov. Here we go. This is the one that I was looking for. Justice.gov. Conspiracy to defraud the United States. Straight from the US Gov website. I'll just upload this one right here. With the technical engineers and everything and all this and all that. They're trying to shadow ban or trying to ban or something. So let's see. There's much more to talk about. I'm just thinking. Who's paying attention to all this stuff? So we'll see. I mean, this military operation with the indictments and everything should be coming up. But I mean, you know, we got 4 years. People, a lot of people have a lot of faith. Some people not so others. We'll really see. It's been a while since I got an update. Since we got out. So we'll see. Trump and Biden, and unfortunately there is just, the more research I do, the more I'm just very disturbed by the, I mean, of course, you have to be a Muppet to be at the top to begin with. So you think about these guys, they got money, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing... Thank you very much. T-minus 2 minutes. Yeah, get this on the road here. See, we got all these notes, we got all these notes and all these things trying to figure things out, but with the riots in Portland, riots out there, all this crazy stuff going on. So we'll see. Whew. What else we got? Tactical gear shop owner. Body armor sales up 80% since last year. That's another thing. Bullets, guns, body armor, everything is skyrocketing. Who has all this money? There's a lot of people with the... You know what I mean? There's guns are being bought out left and right. I mean, there's a lot of things going on here. Body armor, bullets. I mean, this is... Firearms, I mean, the whole 9 yards, the whole enchilada. DNC, oh yeah, and then in the meanwhile, DNC is going on. I saw a little, the DNC thing is definitely kind of disturbing. I got it, you know, people have been saying, like, it's kind of weird stuff, kind of creepy. I watched a little interview, or the Obama speech. Kind of creepy, kind of weird, kind of hard to believe he was president for 8 years, for 2 terms. But yeah. It says DNC tries showing voters excited about Kamala Harris. They have to duplicate images. I mean, oof. Alright, it's go time. It's go time. And we got new software here and all kinds of stuff, so hopefully it works. We're going to be testing new software. Great, how are you?
Good.
Fantastic.
I don't know, I turned on my camera, but I don't see it. Can you see me?
No, I see a white screen.
Yeah, that's what I see too. That's kind of odd.
Do you want to try... Oh, there you go, I see you now. Perfect.
Wait a minute. Do you see me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you see more than... You see my whole screen. I'm not wanting the whole screen. I just want... There I am.
There you are.
Oh, okay. Now you'll give me the recording when we're done too?
That's right.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Perfect. All right. Thank you very much, Jim Fetzer, for coming on Geezy Truth News. It's been a while. I hope you're well. Let's hear it all and what's going on.
Well, one of the most peculiar aspects of the whole coronavirus phenomenon is that Dr. Anthony Tony the Rat Fauci stated back in 2017 that the Trump administration would not only have to deal with the predictable seasonal flu and HIV and the like, but that there would be a surprise pandemic. Now, the question that arises is, if he's predicting it in 2017, how can it be a surprise? And also, since he's the guy who is supposed to prepare the country to deal with pandemics, why wasn't he prepared if he knew already in 2017 what would happen? It turned out in 2020. Well, we may now have a clue, an explanation as to what happened. Photographs have emerged of Fauci together with Barack Obama and Melinda Gates, Bill Gates' wife, at the Wuhan lab in China in 2015. And frankly, it's very difficult to see an innocent explanation for this. The photographs are going viral on the internet. I put it up on my Twitter account at Jim Fetzer. Anyone who wants to check it out. I'm asking if there's an innocent explanation, please share it, because I can't imagine what it would possibly be. And the fact of the matter is, this shows Barack Obama, Fauci, and Gates were conspiring to destroy the country using the coronavirus already back in 2015. I believe when all is said and done, that Barack Obama is going to turn out to have been perhaps the most corrupt president in American history. Here's more evidence that substantiates that. We all know that Michael Flynn was entrapped in an improper fashion by corrupt agents of the FBI. They even needed instructions when they questioned him of what they were trying to do, get him to lie, or were they going to arrest him or whatnot. Well, the whole case, of course, has wound up in court, where Flynn very appropriately got rid of the law firm representing him, which has deep connections to the shadow government, and instead, began to be represented by a brilliant woman who has been ably representing him. But it turns out that even after the Department of Justice decided to withdraw the charges against him, that the judge, whose name is Emmett Sullivan, has not been cooperating. Well, here we have photographs of Barack Obama with Judge Emmett Sullivan in a casual setting on a lake, and this just reeks of corruption. The latest development, by the way, on the legal political front is that Steve Bannon and 3 Three others are being charged with fraud in the border wall funding. Now, this is just too precious in terms of its timing and its content. You got Bannon, who was a campaign manager for Donald Trump. You got the border wall. You got a financial scandal. This has to be completely and totally fraudulent. And what will happen in a case like this, as in so many others, is having secured the headlines, the case will gradually wither on the vine. Weeks or even months from now, probably after the election on November 3rd, it will simply disappear because there was nothing to it. But that's the game that the Democrats are playing these days. They're so desperate. Their prospects of defeating the president and denying him a re-election are so remote that they're grasping at straws. Just to give an indication of how bad it's been, the broadcast ratings for the first night of the convention were down 40%, nearly 50%. The first night they were down 25%. The second night they're down 50%. Who knows how low they could go? Tuesday night broadcast actually was beat. The Democratic convention was beat out by America's Got Talent. How bad is that? Now tonight we're going to see a lineup including, of course, Cory Booker and Pete Buttigieg, Chris Coons, and Joe Biden. It's going to be interesting that Chris Coons is there because when Joe Biden swore in Chris Coons as a senator from Delaware in the Oval Office, after the ceremony he leaned over to his daughter and said to her, picked up by the mic and recording, I saw it when it happened. Do you have any idea how horny it makes me to be standing next to a 13-year-old girl? That's going to make a tremendous campaign commercial. And the very idea that Christopher Coons should be there supporting Joe Biden is just simply outrageous and shows how hypocritical and corrupt the Democrats have become. Last night, even Barack Obama couldn't save the day. It was clear he had no enthusiasm for the candidate he was supporting. Trump basically took him out in a single tweet by observing of Obama. He spied on my campaign and got caught. Donald Trump Jr. also tweeted, hearing the guy who spied on the administration that would replace him talk about our democracy and our values, after he broke a 240-plus year tradition of peaceful transition of power, was truly amazing. I think he meant mind-numbing. Are you there, my friend?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Meanwhile, the Democrats are in a state of denial where John Cass has published a brilliant piece entitled Democratic Convention Ignores the Elephant in the Virtual Room, Urban Violence. I have just published this on my blog at jamesfetzer.org. Everyone should read it because there's an aura of unreality about the Democratic Convention. They're not dealing with the real issues of our time. They're not dealing with the coronavirus. They're offering no solutions. They're not dealing with the massive destruction of the middle class. They're not dealing with the evisceration of 40% of small companies already, where the grand total is going to be even more enormous. And I have no doubt the reason they're not dealing with it is because it's part and parcel of their game plan to take down Donald Trump. But most importantly, they're not dealing with looting and rioting, with the lawlessness in the cities, which the Democrats themselves control. Now, if anyone wants to understand exactly what's going on, if you go to my blog and check it out, you'll find I have linked to a program I gave recently on the CV-DNC conspiracy, how Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and the Democratic Party agenda fit together. You're not going to believe it's grotesque. But Antifa and the Black Lives Matter are really the advance guard. They're the violent action representatives of the Democratic Party today. So, of course, you're not going to hear them condemned. If you go to Black Lives Matter and make a financial donation, it goes to Act Blue and winds up in the pockets of Beta O'Rourke, Elizabeth Warren, and Joe Biden. In fact, it's interesting that Cass observed Senator Bernie Sanders offered the only moment of real clarity by condemning Trump. He condemned Trump for authoritarianism, an odd choice for Sanders, who honeymooned in the Soviet-run Moscow, enjoying state-sponsored puppet shows. But he did say that his socialist agenda finally had bent Democrat establishment to its will. That was the moment of truth, that the Democrats had become a radical party. Here's Bernie Sanders in that moment of clarity. Ideas that were once considered radical only a few years ago are now considered mainstream. I mean, how bad is that? Meanwhile, we also have the case that the murder rate in these different cities corresponds to the political map, because you're finding that it's occurring in cities that are controlled by the Democrats. Trump had made that point before, where charts show that the most violent cities in America are all run by Democrats. I mean, it's just astonishing. One after another. New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston. I mean, just go through it, and you have no doubt about it. Meanwhile, Trump has put out a new campaign commercial. It's absolutely fascinating, where the Democrats are talking about the peaceful protests against the background where you can see the violence taking place. I'll just play it and you can hear.
They're forced and peaceful protesters.
The vast majority of the protests have been peaceful.
And they're going to just point people off the street to make it seem like there are problems going on when all that's happening are peaceful protests. And our peaceful protesters' ability to get out at night.
Most of these protests have been peaceful.
I applaud these protesters. The majority of these protesters are peaceful. They have been peaceful for weeks.
It has continued, for the most part, peaceful.
It was peaceful. We had a number of peaceful protests.
Democrats have ruined their cities. Don't let them destroy America. Trump, Pence. Very appropriate. And in the background of all those well-known Democrats, including the mayors of Seattle and other countries, you had Biden himself, you had Kamala Harris, you had Obama's former head of Homeland Security saying these protests were peaceful, which is completely absurd. Lunatic claim. So they think they can run away from it, but what they're doing is creating an aura of unreality, of detachment, even insanity. In fact, it complements the fact that a Norwegian psychiatrist has now observed that Joe Biden is suffering from dementia. This is Norwegian psychiatrist Fred Hagen claiming that Joe Biden is suffering from dementia and that his condition is worsened at a galloping speed. He says, of course, I may still judge him wrongly, but in my eyes, he appears as a person who is already very affected by dementia. And the presidential election is still far ahead. What if his condition worsens further over the next 2 to 3 months, he said. The psychiatrist asserts Biden's behavior at campaign events and debates over the past few months, characterized by forgetfulness, mischief, confusion, gaffes, and aggression, is indicative of someone who's beginning to struggle to perform basic mental functions. And this is not scare propaganda on my part, he observes. Everyone who has had experience with people with dementia knows that a deterioration can come quickly and have a particularly dramatic course. Meanwhile, it turns out, surprise, surprise, that Tom Perez, who's the head of the Democratic National Committee, put lobbyists in charge of reviewing DNC membership qualifications. Many of those lobbyists, by the way, represent big pharma, the pharmaceutical industry, which may explain why Facebook fact checkers on Twitter, the FDA, Democrats, and their allies in the mainstream media are working hard to discredit the inexpensive but completely effective hydroxychloroquine as a cure for COVID-19. It's not going to generate mass profits. Trump explained back in May to the rabid mainstream that he's been taking hydroxychloroquine and zinc for a couple of weeks as a preventative measure. During a press conference on July 29th, he blasted the media for their shameful bullying of him and his suggestion that it should be used as a safe and effective treatment, for which he's 100% correct. Karen Whitsett, by the way, a Democrat state lawmaker from Detroit, Michigan, was blasted by her own party in April for publicly thanking President Trump for suggesting hydroxychloroquine might be used as a cure after she took the drug and was in fact almost immediately cured. She credited the drug combo for her successful recovery. Immediately following her public praise of President Trump for suggesting COVID patients might be cured by taking the wonder drug, the Democratic Party in Michigan voted to censure Whitsett. So think about it. The Democratic Party is campaigning against a wonder drug that would cure COVID-19 because, in part, it makes massive profits for the big pharma if they can get the vaccine, but also because they're in the snares of a medical mafia headed by Bill Gates, including Dr. Anthony Tony the Rat Fauci, no doubt inspired by Henry Kissinger, Ted Turner, and others who want to bring about a massive reduction in the world population. Ted Turner has suggested that we should get rid of 95% of the world's population of approximately 7 billion people. He's talking about eliminating over 6.5 billion people from the face of planet Earth. I believe there's an opportunity here for the president to make a sensational development here. For example, just to explain, a poll is showing fewer than half of Americans say they'll get a coronavirus vaccine. Fewer than half of Americans say they would get a government-approved coronavirus vaccine if one became widely available. Only 44% of adults say they would get the vaccine. 22% say they wouldn't. 32% say they aren't sure. So if you put together the aren't sure and the won't, you get 54% versus 44%. Now, the fact is the president has actually spoken about using the military even to distribute a vaccine were it to become available. But I know in his heart of hearts, the president knows better. Vaccines are bad. They have caused massive problems, including, of course, a huge occurrence, a pattern of autism in the United States. It is perfectly correlated with the use of these vaccines. In India, a Gates vaccine had brought about the paralysis of 500,000 Indian girls. Just outrageous. They booted Gates out of India. In Africa, another vaccine killed many children in India. We know that the H1N1 vaccine causes brain damage. This is very serious. Nevertheless, we have an absurd, in my opinion, totally self-discrediting Soros-backed bioethicist who says people who refuse coronavirus vaccines should lose their jobs or be imprisoned. Well, this is completely outrageous. What I declare is that Trump can save the nation and defeat this effort to kill America by distributing the HCQ, the wonder drug, for free to every American who wants it. Even Fauci has known since that HCQ is a wonder drug, that it not only works as a cure, but it works as a preventative. You couldn't have better. It's cheap, it's inexpensive. If the president can envision a program where vaccines, which are very expensive, are distributed to the American people, how much better that we can avoid vaccines altogether, which bring with them the risk of massive damage to our brains and to our health, even death. Instead, substitute hydroxychloroquine. So I'm hopeful that at the convention, the Republican convention, in a week or so, Donald Trump will announce that he's going to make hydroxychloroquine available to all of the American people at government expense for free. It's inexpensive, completely efficacious, and destroy this effort to destroy America, annihilate it in turn. And anyone, by the way, who needs to understand the horrendous background here, you need to go to my blog, my new blog at Fetzer at jimtheconspiracyguy.com. Go to jimtheconspiracyguy.com and check out, for example, the coronavirus phenomenon, medical emergency, or political pandemic, but also my program on the ACDNC, Antifa, BLM conspiracy, where the Democratic Party is in cahoots here with bringing about all these terrible effects in their desperation to bring down Donald Trump. Now, it's also the case that you can find Black Lives Matter leaders making outrageous statements about burning down the country. Here we had a fellow, the New York chair of the BLM, if this country won't give us what we want, then we'll burn down the system. He claims he could mean that figuratively or could mean it literally, but if you look at how much looting and trashing and burning has taken place, it's pretty clear he means it literally. The guy's name is Hawk Newsom. He's appeared with Martha McCallum on her show on Fox, and he's declaring that they are entitled to loot and pillage in response because the country itself has conducted looting and pillaging abroad, with the many wars. But this is completely outrageous. When McCollum asked Newsom his thought about Rudy Giuliani comments characterizing the larger Black Lives Movement as a domestic terrorist organization for turning a blind eye to looting and rioting, he went off on Giuliani personally, calling him a blowhard who runs his mouth. When Martha tried to bring the focus back to the statement rather than the man, he bizarrely claimed that Giuliani should have condemned the KKK as terrorists responsible for bloodshed for hundreds of years, as well as the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church in 1963, the organizational headquarters for the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. and other leaders at the height of the civil rights movement. But what he doesn't seem to realize is that the Ku Klux Klan was founded by Democrats who are pushing back against the Republican Reconstruction of the South and was still supported by Democrats in the modern era, even Joe Biden. Now the Democrat nominee has called the KKK supporters fine people and endorse them. It's completely outrageous. Just to show, by the way, the incompetence of the DNC, they allowed Michelle Obama to go on talking about the putting of children in cages at the southern border, when it had already been long since discredited and shown to be the practice initiated by her husband in his administration. Michelle insisted President Trump had used cages to house migrant children at the U.S. southern border, lamenting that Americans were forced to watch in horror as children were torn from their families and thrown into cages. Well, the head of the U.S. ICE observed that while she's right that Trump's now suspended policy separated thousands of children from their families, what she didn't say, the same cages were built and used in her husband's administration for the same purpose. This actually is the Associated Press. The Associated Press fact-checking Michelle Obama. Not stopping there, the Associated Press went on to add that Michelle's reference to cages was misleading and a persistent distortion promoted by Democrats because Trump used facilities that were built during the Obama-Biden administration to house children at the border. They are chain link enclosures inside border facilities where migrants were temporarily held separated by age and sex. They even mentioned that the viral photos of the children in detention camps that the Democrats have circulated to try and shame Trump over his zero tolerance policy at the border were actually taken in 2014 when Barack Obama, her husband, was the president of the United States. It's refreshing to see the press call out Obama on their lives for once, for a change. Meanwhile, I remind everyone that Michelle Obama is not who she purports to be. You may recall years ago when Joan Rivers was asked, now that we've had our first black president, will we ever have a gay president? And she replied, we already have the first gay president with Obama, so let's just calm down. You know, Michelle is a tranny, a transgender. We all know, too. It turns out that Michelle Obama was actually born Michael LaVaughn Robinson. She played football for Oregon State. At the time she protested, she was a woman trapped in a man's body. When she transferred to Princeton, she changed her name to Michelle and adopted a female persona. We know that the physician who was looking after her during the campaign back in Trenton walked into her taking a leak standing up in a trailer and has reported what he believes the American people deserve to know, namely that Michelle Obama is not a man who underwent a sex transformation. Michelle Obama is a man with breast implants and a huge shaving bill. It's therefore ironic that we have a Gallup poll who is the most admired woman, Michelle or Melania, showing the most wearing the same dress, but you see that Michelle is huge because she's a man with the broad shoulders of a man, with tattoos up and down her leg. There's no question who wore it better. The beautiful woman, Michelle Trump, not Michelle Obama, who's not even a man. Indeed, it's weird now. Teachers are calling the cops on parents who kids skip their Zoom classes. This is occurring in Massachusetts. School officials have reported dozens of families to state social workers for possible negligence charges because of issues related to their children's participation in remote learning classes during the pandemic shutdown. This is outrageous. There's a wonderful cartoon about it, by the way, where a black guy is looking at Forrest Gump and saying, Forrest, if I die, don't let me vote for Biden. Let me conclude by pointing out, you can go to my blog, you can check out false flags. I have 2 extensive studies there about false flags where State of the Nation recently published false flags are legal propaganda produced by the Department of Defense. This occurred in the wake of the Barack Obama nullification of the Smith-Mundt Act of 1948, which precluded the use of the same techniques of propaganda and disinformation that were being used abroad within the United States by means of the Smith-Mundt Nullification Act of 2012, just in time for Sandy Hook, and since we've had the Boston bombing, Orlando and Dallas, Charlottesville, Parkland, Las Vegas, all of which are exposed in my How to Spot a False Flag, a sampler of orchestrated events of 21 June 2020, and How to Spot a False Flag, a sampler of orchestrated events, part 2 of 29 June 2020, were included in the latter as an expose of how they faked these hate crimes involving Jussie Smollett, the nephew of Kamala Harris, the Scott Walker news thing in NASCAR, which NASCAR itself knew was merely a handhold for a garage door opener, and even the George Floyd alleged murder in Minneapolis, which is quite fascinating because when he was arrested and manacled behind his back, he was put in a squad car, which normally would have been the occasion to take him to the precinct to be booked and have his mugshot taken. When he got in the car, he had hair on his head. He later, we see on the ground, something that looks like an African American, but it has no hair on its head. It has hands in front of its chest, no longer manacled. When it's raised and put onto a gurney, it has no legs. They made the transfer to an African American windpipe training dummy manufactured by Sigma 7, all totally fraudulent. You can find it there. Go to JimTheConspiracyGuy.com. Don't let yourself be played. And if you, under these circumstances, were to vote Democratic for president, you really deserve the consequences that would ensue. Believe me, Donald Trump is saving the nation from the grip of monsters who are willing to destroy the country to retain their political control. Check it out. Judge for yourself. Don't let yourself be played.
Thank you very much, Jim, for all the intel and updates. That's amazing. On the next show, I'd like to talk about, I don't know if you mentioned the Durham report at all. Hopefully we can discuss that a little bit. And then also, I believe one of the last couple shows that you and I did, I believe that it got banned by YouTube. So I have to research and look into what words the computers picked up or what happened. So the Durham report and the whole banning, shadow banning thing, lots of things are coming up. So I still have faith, optimism, and that things are...
So do I. Just think about a brilliant stroke. He would defang the monster by offering the American people HCQ for free. We don't need vaccines. We don't want to take them. We know they're damaging. We know they're destructive.
Right.
But HCQ has been around for 65 years. It will save the people, save the nation, and lead all of us to sing the praises of the president who salvaged America.
Well, thank you very much. God bless America and God bless Trump. We'll see what happens.
I couldn't agree more. I'm an agnostic, but I say the same thing. God bless Donald Trump and God bless the USA.
Thank you. Take care and have a great one. Till next time.
My pleasure.